very, very impressive stuff from Jesse Marsch's side. Canada held to a draw in that opening game, but they just blew Qatar away 6-0. So many positives to take away from one of the hosts as we reflect on that huge win. Jermaine, start with you. Right from the off, Canada controlled this game.
Yeah, absolutely, completely. You were able to see that they came out and they were flying. They wanted to make a stamp. I think just to take over the group and go out with with kind of like a wow. What we now talking 6-0. Wow.
Yeah, wow indeed. That attacking prowess from the kickoff just had that Qatar defence all over the place.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the attacking prowess of Canada because that was the intention of Jesse Marsch. In comes Ali Ahmed, in comes Kyle Larin, two players that didn't start, but when they came on against Bosnia, they made a difference. They were the spark plugs. Jonathan David got his goal. Kyle Larin got his goal. It was just one after another, immediate waves of intensity, which is what they had, but they couldn't put into the net against Bosnia. They had that in Vancouver. Jesse Marsch and this team, when they saw that Switzerland and Qatar drew, they saw the group wide open. It's now carte blanche. They can put that Bosnia match behind them. They can take advantage of what's in front of them. And in Vancouver, almost a perfect evening. I say almost a perfect evening because you're going to be without one of your best players, a central figure, but it's hard to ignore that.
Yeah, that's the injury to Koné, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
It's hard to really say that they didn't put the right foot forward tonight.
Absolutely. When you're the favourites, which they were the favourites to win this game, and you don't see it from all teams. We saw it from Spain, we've seen it from Portugal, where you pass the ball and be patient. You think eventually we'll break them down. Canada didn't do that. They went right for the throat, right from the start. We've been playing two up front. It's starting to be slightly fashionable to play two up front. We see Sweden do it. We see Norway do it. Now we saw Canada do it with two front players who are in good form. Two wide players that Ahmed came inside onto his right foot and Buchanan went down the outside. They played the game on the front foot. They won the ball back in good areas and they didn't let Qatar out. That's the way to play the game if you're the favourites to win the match.
Lionel Messi, now Jonathan David getting a hat-trick in this tournament. How highly do you rate him? How much do you like him?
I'm a fan of him. I think you were able to see it, but how he is in the box good, but on outside too. But he's in the game in general. You know, he's a big part of this team that they're not only scoring goals, that they're playing good football. So I think him with Larin in front, it's a duo you have to watch out in this tournament.
You've talked about him a lot on Football Americas, obviously.
He's one of my favorite players in North America. I thought he's had a rough season, to say the least, at Juventus for his standard. It's a kid that started slow when he went to Belgium at age 18, started slow, but Genk became one of the premier players they had there. Then he gets sold to Lille, and then becomes Lille's all-time leading goal scorer in their history. And the season before Juventus, he's scoring league goals and Champions League goals against Atletico Madrid, against Real Madrid, against Liverpool. Anybody you put in front of him, he's scoring goals. He gets his big money move to Juventus, and for the first time in a long time, he can't find the net. Now, I agree with Robo. This team plays with two forwards, but he's not really the 9. He operates as a 9.5, 10. Jesse Marsch, he's the all-time leading goal scorer for Canada, but he's got him manning right behind a big 9. Whether it's Kyle Larin, Oluseyi, whoever's in that box, he's behind him. And he didn't get his goal in the first game, and he was heavily criticized. And he comes out in this game, and he scores a hat trick. He shows everybody that even without Alphonso Davies, even with the injury to Koné, even with all these uncertainties, he's still here, he's still producing, and he's going to continue to produce. I'm a massive fan of the kid, and I'm just glad that he's getting his due.
Yeah, taking your chances. After a disappointing season for Juventus.
Yes, so he's got to get his confidence back. But I think it will help them playing with front two. But if they do play as a front two, and you're saying these one's higher than the other, there's got to be link-up play between the two. They've got to have a good understanding. They've got to gain that understanding very quickly. All the best front pairings get an understanding where they link up with each other. They're almost looking to pass to each other, little 1-2s in and around the box. One makes a run behind, one comes short. If they can get that understanding, the partnership of Larin and David could be very, very good.
All positives, as you mentioned, apart from the injury to Koné. It looks serious, obviously. The reaction from the players can always tell you a lot about where we are and how serious these kind of injuries are. What's it like to be on the pitch when things like that happen, for both as a teammate and an opposition player?
Thank God I was never on the field when something like that happened. But I can only imagine that in that moment, I think you were able to see it. We were standing next to each other and watched it. And alone, Koné, when it happened, he was under shock. So we all, I think, if you touch just that bone, you know how strong that bone is, and when you realize that breaks completely, I think the whole team was under shock. The coaches, even the player who made the red card, was under shock. And now we can only hope that he gets good recovery and comes back soon.
How big a loss is that for Canada if he's out?
Massive loss. He's one of their best players. We see injuries happen like this all the time. Certainly not at the World Cup level or such a platform, but when it does, there's an emotional drop. It's natural by the team. You're in shock as well. You've just seen somebody you consider a brother go down, and Jermaine's right. The moment we saw Koné go down, there's a look in his face where he realizes what just happened, and he is in shock. And I thought that Canada would take a dip with that emotion. They did not. They defended him against Qatar in the situation when they had to. They rallied around him and created a human wall as to not let the camera see what was going on. They responded on the field. Saliba, who comes on for him, scores a free kick immediately, lifts his jersey in tribute to Koné. He's an important player. Not just because of the player he is for Sassuolo. When he was at Marseille, he was a player that had much promise, but because of what he does on the field. Eustáquio is a guy that strings along passes, gets the ball side to side. Koné is a box-to-box. He's really the defensive presence you have in that midfield. I don't think there's a like-for-like in this Canadian pool, and that could be something when now you have to face a Switzerland team that could be gunning for that first place, and you're probably playing first place against Switzerland. So if you don't have that box-to-box presence, if you don't have that physicality there in the center midfield, Jesse Marsch is going to have a problem in a sense, because I don't believe they have a like-for-like in that roster.
And let's just remind you how the group stands, and also remind you that third place in this tournament is more than likely to go through. 8 of the 12 third-place sides will indeed advance to the knockout stages. With that in mind, Robbo, you feel a win and a draw. Canada are in a fantastic position. They're all but through, surely.
Of course they are, yeah. I mean, and they've put in 2 good performances. I know they only got a draw in the first one, but thought their football for the first hour in that game was exceptional. Almost as good as it was in the first half against Qatar, against a slightly better side in Bosnia. So they've got control of the group. I think it'll be a good last game.
Yes.
Switzerland are a decent side. But I don't think it's that important whether they win the group or not.
But surely, in theory, you would say it would be a preferred draw going through.
Preferred draw. But just to keep the confidence going, I probably think the game between them and Switzerland will be a draw. Switzerland are good enough defensively. They've got some good attacking options. And I think Canada will play as they have been.
Right.
I think a draw will probably be the right result for both of them.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I wasn't overly impressed with Switzerland, and I thought it was kind of a...
Second half, they were good.
Yes, absolutely. But I thought it was a deceiving result. I thought that Bosnia was quite good for the roster that they have and how they attacked them at times. They had an opportunity to really take it to them and maybe be the first team, take advantage in that tie. I was not impressed at all versus Qatar. Qatar versus Switzerland is an average team. They're a team that presents no physical presence to stretch you, go beyond you, and yet Switzerland allowed them to get in around their box. And I also have my doubts about the goal that Switzerland scores, the penalty kick and how it came about, offsides or not. They were very suspect in that game. Canada has only been suspect in how they finished in the first game, but they were completely in control in the first game. They were clearly the better team. In the second game, the numbers speak for themselves. Early red card, you put the player in that position, he commits the foul. The rest is history. But they've been the better team in both games that they played.
At the moment, Canada haven't played against anybody in midfield who's been able to control the game.
Correct, but Switzerland has.
But Switzerland can control the game. Xhaka and the players around him.
I am with you, Robbo.
Control the game.
Before the World Cup, I would have said yes. But the way I've seen Switzerland in these 2 games,
they haven't created enough chances, but they've controlled the flow of the game in the main.
Yeah, but Canada doesn't need to string passes along you. They're very intense in how they press you. They can make you lose the ball.
They've got to stop Switzerland controlling that midfield. So their pressing has got to be good. You just said one of the players that is key to that, Koné, with his energy, getting up and down the field. If he's not playing, can they cope? Not with Switzerland causing chances or creating chances, but control of the game.
I see exactly what you're throwing, and I agree with you. Here's where I would say for Canada, maybe against a team like Switzerland, that might not matter. Canada is a team that's going to press you. So as long as the front 3-4 can press you, can put you under pressure, they're going to bypass that midfield. We'll see what Wombito's like in this game. He just came back for the second half. He's a massive part in the center back position. Luca Ferrero, the kid, he's been very good, the Fulham product. I've been pleasantly surprised. I don't think they're going to go through the midfield with Canada. I think they're going to press them and ask them to bypass that midfield is where I'm going.
Jermaine, what do you think?
I think that, so far we had seen Canada playing, and we know that their game is transition in high press. And I think they played against 2 countries where if you press and you do it high, they will make mistakes.
They're not good enough on the ball.
Yes, they're not good enough on the ball to get out of there. And I think with Switzerland, you have the players who feel comfortable in that situation. And even then, if you press high, you have to know that there's open in the back. So and I think Switzerland has the player to go against you in a 1-against-1. And we said they have the players in midfield to pass through that pressure.
Xhaka is the key player, isn't he? In terms of not because he's going to be dynamic, but what he does, he finds little areas, he can play round pressure, and he just stops the opposition pressing him because he's too clever for them at times. And that will stop, I think, Canada really being that high-pressing team and dominate the game as they have the last two.